So if you're new to WoW and you want to be able to customize the UI further than the game menu edit mode allows for, I'm going to be going over an add-on guide here to show you how to install add-ons in the first place, and also how to get your UI looking just like mine, and then we're going to go into some quality of life add-ons that I have as well. So the first step you're going to want to do is install an add-on manager called curseforge. Curseforge is a website that you might be familiar with because they provide add-ons and mods to lots of different games. You're going to want to open your web browser and go to curseforge. And curseforge, it might be something that you've heard of. I've heard it before from Minecraft, I think. They make mods and add-ons for lots of games, including World of Warcraft. So you can see there's a World of Warcraft section right here. We're just going to click on that. And you can download add-ons directly from the website, but what we're here for is the app. So you're going to want to click this button at the top right and click the Get CurseForge app button, and that will begin the download of the CurseForge app. And then once it's installed, you can just open it up. And it's going to launch using Overwolf. It kind of takes a second. But then, once it fully launches, it's going to scan your games and whatnot, and you're going to select World of Warcraft or any other games you might want to select. But make sure that if you're trying to install add-ons for retail WoW, that you have the retail game selected in the top right. Okay, so that's the first step, is make sure you're on retail. And this add-on's really nice. You can see I just pressed one button to update 3 different add-ons that needed updates. So it's really nice. Like before you open the game, you can just check CurseForge if you need any updates before you launch the game, and just update it right away. But if you don't have any add-ons, how you would install an add-on is you would click this browse button, and now the search bar will bring up add-ons. Like let's say we wanted to install like S Arena or something like that. Now, when we search S Arena, we can click this install button, and it will install directly to our add-ons folder in our game folder. And so once you install an add-on, you might think that you have to restart the game. I used to think that, but you actually don't. So if you've installed an add-on and you want it, or if you've updated an add-on and you want that add-on to refresh in your add-on list, what you're going to do is you're going to /reload your UI. And this is the equivalent to relaunching the game, and it'll actually cause you to it'll cause the entire game menu to reload, and all of the UI elements will reload. So yeah, now that I've reloaded my UI, all those add-ons that we updated earlier are now updated and using the latest add-ons file, the latest update of the add-ons file. So yeah, instead of completely exiting the game, you can just reload. This first add-on, I already gave a in-depth guide on in my Fire Mage one-shot guide. So if you want more explanation as to what this first add-on does, go ahead and check out that video. But yeah, advanced interface options is the first add-on we're going to talk about because it has a really big impact on your gameplay. And it also starts with A, it's top of the list. And I use this add-on mainly for these settings right here in the combat tab. So I use it to set my custom lag tolerance, which is you want to set it 100 to your average ping. Price is Right rules, always higher than, always the same or above, never lower. And then also check this box, cast on keybind down, setting that makes the game feel a lot more responsive. This is a big one, BigDebuffs. So BigDebuffs essentially displays debuffs on the character portrait. So if I go over here and I polymorph this spider, you can see the debuff of the polymorph nice and big over their character portrait with a timer. And it also adds a big debuff next to their health bar. And it also adds big debuffs to your party and raid frames. So you can also use this to make debuffs on your healer frame or on your healer's raid frame much larger and easier to see. And how you would do that is you would go into options, big debuffs, go to raid frames, and then I have dispellable CC set to 60%, other CCs set to 50%, and then everything else is defaults. If you have a big debuff showing on, let's say, your character that you don't want to show, for example, let's say you don't like seeing ice block on your character portrait, then you could go into this add-on settings, go over to the spells tab, and you can check and uncheck different spells that show, and also set the priority. So you have a lot of control with this add-on. I leave most of this stuff default, but if there's something covering my frames, a certain buff that I really just don't care about, I'll go into the spells and I'll uncheck it. Next add-on is going to be details. So details is our damage meter, and this add-on is really popular. A lot of times you'll see it looking like this on people's screens. And I basically have customized the damage meter to only show two different places, the first two places, because if you're not first, you're last. And I also have a setting checked so that if I am last, per se, it'll show me how last I am. You know, if I'm not first, what place I actually am on the damage meter, and still show me in that second spot to give me a sense if I need to push harder, or if I'm chilling at the top of the damage meters. So, to customize the damage meter to have it look how I do, you're gonna want to open up the settings page once you have the add-on installed, and you're gonna want to go to skins right here and select the skin WoW interface. So once you do that, it'll look like this skin right here. It'll have the symbol in a nice border. And if you want to edit the text size of the title bar, you can. I've moved my X and Y and changed the text size of the damage done text. And the other thing I did is that in bars general, or maybe it's display. No. Yeah, bars text. So in bars texts, I only have show per second checked. I don't have show total or show percent checked like by default. And that's just because I feel like DPS is a better signifier of who's really doing the most damage at any given time in the arena, especially when the scoreboard at the very end also shows the total damage of everyone in the arena. So if you want to see total damage, it's going to display on the scoreboard at the end anyway. And let me see if I can find where it says always show me. Right here. In bars general, you have this setting right here, always show me. And when enabled, your bar will always be shown even when you aren't one of the top ranked players. And this makes it so that if you aren't in first place, but let's say you're in 9th place, it would show you in the second slot right here with the number 9 next to your name. And then it would show your damage per second, and then it would give this, the bar's color would give you a relative idea of how far behind you actually are. Are you right behind them? And there's just a lot of people in this group, or are you doing half as much damage as the top DPS player and you need to step it up? So that's how I like to configure my damage done meter. And then obviously there's this lock and unlock function, and when you have it locked in the corner right here, and then you click and drag the top menu, you can click and drag this as really, really high. So you can see, you know, all the way down to 20 different players in your group if you really wanted to see how everyone else is doing. And then let's say you just got hit with a crazy spell and you want to know how much damage that just did. You can click on the bars in this window and it'll show the specific spells and how hard they hit for. which targets they were on. It's a very informative add-on. You can use it to, we're getting ganked in Goldshire, if anyone would like to help out. You can also use it to track CC. So if you go to miscellaneous, if you go to this little sword icon and mouse over it, go to miscellaneous, you can track CC breaks, interrupts, dispels, and you can make sure that you aren't breaking CC, or you can figure out why you lost the game or why you won the game, or what exactly happened, in addition to being able to go back and watch a recording or something like that. So a really useful add-on. It's also really cool for the stream to just have something to look at. And obviously on top of that, we have my skill history using this add-on TrufiGCD. It's pretty much default settings. So just go to TrufiGCD and install that add-on here. I'm just going to quickly go to it, because it's a pretty small add-on. So TrufiGCD, again, is my skill history down here. And it shows what spells I'm casting, how far apart they were casted, and if I'm casting, it'll pause. And you can set how many spells it shows, how big those icons are. You can click and drag and put it anywhere on your screen. Really cool add-on, but mainly using it for stream so that viewers can see which spells I'm casting. If I were playing solo, I probably wouldn't use this add-on. Unless, you know, you were trying to explain your rotation to someone else, to someone watching. Or, you know, maybe you could argue that it is good to have so that when you're watching your own VOD back, you can watch your own TrufiGCD and keep an eye on your globals and keep an eye on, you know, if you're filling every cast with an ability, or whether or not you're leaving gaps and need to speed it up, you know? So it can be really informative. The next add-on that we want to go to is Gladius. So I use GladiusEx. It's sort of like the newer version of Gladius, which is the classic arena frame add-on. And Blizzard actually has arena frames by default. And they show cast bars, trinkets, and big debuffs. But the problem is that these arena frames don't have what is known as a DR tracker. So if I were to show you my Gladius real quick and just test 2v2, you've probably seen this in my gameplay before, but these little pictures right here above their cast bar and next to their frame show their diminishing returns. So if they've just gone through a CC, let's say I've polymorphed them, then until this timer runs out, the polymorph is going to be DR'd. Or they might even be immune to that polymorph, depending on how many times you've used that CC. And these different colors right here, red, yellow, and green, signify what that is. So if you were to stun them, they would be a half stun. If you were to sheep them, it would be a quarter sheep. And if you were to clone them, they would be immune to clone. And that's what those colors mean. And there are many different arena frame add-ons that you can use, but the most popular ones are Gladius and S Arena. And we'll talk about S Arena in a little bit, but for now we're just going to go through Gladius and how to get the settings exactly like mine. So if you want this arena frame add-on setting, you can copy it. I don't think that I can import this profiles. Copy from. I don't think I can get an import chain string, unfortunately. But anyways, once you have this add-on installed, you can type in /GladiusEx. Here, let me show that. /GladiusEx, or you can again go into the options menu and open it up from there. I prefer to use the / command because if you do, this menu is click and draggable, so you can move it out of the way and really see your frames and really focus on them for a bit. If I were to make a new profile, let's just call this test and just say okay. This is probably what you're going to be looking at when you first install the add-on, and I know that it looks pretty jarring, but just bear with me, it's not that complicated. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna disable the party frames, and how you do that is you click this plus sign and it'll drop down the menu, go to general and then uncheck, go to general, sorry, and then uncheck show party frames. So you could show party frames if you were a healer, or if you wanted to and then if you wanted to show the Gladius party frames and then hide the default party frames, that's something you could do. I prefer to have them look different just because it's something that I'm more used to. And then if you have this right here, the first thing I would do is I would just increase the scale. So how you would do that is you'd go to arena, drop down the menu, go to general, and then go down to frame scale right here. And we can make this really big. Let's say like 1.5, 1.45-ish. And the next thing I would do is just lock the window so that it's a little bit easier to see. And then I would go to skill history and I would uncheck skill history because I just don't care about skill history personally. The other thing I would want to do is I would want to take their cast bar, and I'm going to make the X offset a little bit further to the right, all the way to the max. This just makes it a little bit easier to see. Another thing you could do is you could make the bar's width very short so that it fits perfectly right there beside the BigDebuffs frame. So you can move this exactly where you want to and get very specific with it. There's nice controls here where you can set it to be pixel perfect. And then the other thing I would do is I would go to general and I would do frame background color black, full opacity, and say okay. And then say border size, make this maybe 2 pixels or 1 pixel. It adds a nice black border to everything. And then the other thing you would do is you would go to the health bar and make this background color invisible, 0 opacity. Same thing with the power bar, 0 opacity, and that makes it black. And then let's say you wanted to make the cooldowns maybe bigger or smaller. Group 1 is going to be the trinkets, group 2 is the trinket, and group 1 is the standard cooldowns right there. So we can increase these icons to whatever size we want. I'm going to move the arena frames a little bit. Make sure that you're showing all of the abilities and that they aren't cutting off the side of your screen like this. And you want it to be fairly close to the center of your screen so that your eyes don't have to travel very far to check on what's going on in the game. And this will increase your spatial awareness and your game sense, and all of those things. So the other thing I just want to mention too is that if you want to disable all of the text, there's a text tag section, and you can just completely disable this, or you can go through each one and customize it. So if we go back to my other profile here, you can see that the text tags that I've chosen are maximum HP. So the reason I have max HP as the set value, and it's their current HP, by the way, too. Let's see if I can find max health short. Okay, so it's actually their maximum health. It should be health short. Actually, I would do max health short. So here's why. The reason I would do max health short is because the maximum HP of a player signifies how geared they are. So when you enter the arena or anytime you look at the frames, you can notice if someone is very under-geared. That's what this number essentially means. I prefer to play the game without any text over the health bars or any percents like that. It just makes it easier for me to see. So, yeah. Those are my Gladius settings. If you would like to copy exactly how this looks and all the just basically the style. And we're going to move on to the next add-on, which is going to be hide realm names. So because I like to hide a lot of the text tags and not make the screen too overwhelming with text, I also prefer to hide realm names whenever I am in a group or a raid. So you can see I've just made a pre-made group. I'm the only person in here. But if other people joined, their names would also be hidden as well, and it would only show their role icon. And I'll quickly show you. You can edit all of these settings, right? You can even hide the role icon if you wanted to. And you can also hide the raid frame manager on the side, which is really nice because it's not something you can do with other add-ons. So that's something that makes the UI look a lot cleaner. And speaking of making the UI look a lot cleaner, the next add-on we're going to look at is Kong Frame Fader. So this add-on essentially allows you to hide certain elements of the screen, of the UI. One of the things that I choose to hide is the default arena frames. But certain elements of the UI, like the default arena frames, can't actually be fully hidden with Kong. I think the same goes for the minimap as well. It's like your pointer will still remain even though the UI will hide. So this add-on isn't perfect, but it is pretty nice to have control over which elements are hidden and when they show. So for example, you'll notice that I only have one action bar on my screen, but if I were to come across an enemy and target them, my health bar would appear, and so would the rest of my cooldowns. And let's say that someone just started ganking me and I hadn't necessarily targeted them, but I took damage. Then I would also see my abilities so that I could press my cooldowns. And all of these variables can be dynamically set by typing in \Kong in the game menu. And it brings up this very intimidating blue screen, but don't be alarmed. Just use your scroll wheel to navigate the different panes, and then click on whatever you want to change. So for example, my player frame is hidden, and it will show when the player is in combat, when a target exists, when the player is in arena battlegrounds, or if the player's health is below 100%. So the reason I don't have it set to, for example, instance type, which if you set this to instance type, whenever you're in any type of instance, this will show. The reason I don't have instance type shown is because I find that whenever I'm doing dungeons and raids, I'm doing, LFR, normal, and heroic. I'm not really taking it too seriously. I actually prefer to have most of the UI hidden because it makes it more more immersive and a little bit, nicer to look at. John G, welcome to the stream, dude. We're in the middle of a UI guide here, and then we're gonna get back to it. Holy shit, viewers just doubled. Welcome everybody. Gonna repeat myself here. We're in the middle of a UI guide. We're just going over the Kong add-on here. Another element that I like to hide is the general doc manager. So this is like your chat's main heading here. Normally it says general. I've renamed it to arrow because when I right click it and I get all these settings, it's just nice. It looks compact. It's there. I know it's there, but I don't want to fucking see it whenever I'm not mousing over it or needing it. Really nice add-on. Love Kong. Been using it for many, many expansions now. It does bug out from time to time, and it can be the source of a lot of errors. So if you're having LUA errors in your game, Kong might be the culprit, might want to be the first thing you disable to try and get things up and running again. So the next add-on we're going to look at is Leatrix Plus. But we're actually going to save this for later because it's more of a quality of life add-on. We're going to go over to LS Glass. So this is my chat frame add-on. So if you are looking at my chat and you notice that it fades away faster than the default, and that's something that you would like or be interested in, Glass allows you to have a lot more control over the chat frame. So if you open this add-on settings, you can do anything and everything, but the main setting that I was concerned with that I wish I had control over for the default chat frame was the fade in duration and the fade out delay. So by default, the fade out delay is just way too long, and text will just be on your screen, you know, just kind of being there. And it makes the game look super ugly and kind of distracting. So if nothing's happening, then I prefer to just have it, you know, hidden and whatnot. Hello? Are you knocking? What do you say to me? Hey, whoa. Who's there? Knock, knock. Who's there? Is it the teacher bird? Sorry. All right. So yeah, LS Glass is an add-on that gives you a lot more control over your chat frame, makes it look a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, easier to use. And the next add-on we're going to take a look at is MoveAny. So MoveAny is a really weird add-on. It's not one that you would really need unless you want to change where this LFG icon rests. So this is the add-on that I use, is BlizzMove, and MoveAny. And MoveAny allowed me to be able to move the Q status icon. So if I go to options, or actually it's in here, MoveAny. What you would do is you would search Q, and you would find LFG status. You would overwrite the edit mode, check this box, and then you can move it anywhere on your UI. So I prefer to have it over the dragon symbol because I just barely click that button. And I'm also used to having the LFG eye on my minimap. When they moved it to the bottom of the screen, there were several times where I was starting out this expansion and I just wasn't used to it. And I wasn't aware of when I was in queue or if I was in queue. And they would just give me these micro, like, panic attacks, I guess, or like this minor moments of stress where I was like, oh my god, am I in queue or not? You know, anyways. So the next add-on is Narcissus. Now, Narcissus is an add-on that allows you to view your character in a very cinematic way. So if you open the add-on, once it's installed, you can tailor the settings to your liking. I have it mostly default. I've made some elements of it larger or max scale, I guess. But the rest is default. I use this mostly as like a be right back screen, but it's also a really good way to show off your gear. And there's a really nifty function where if you open your character pane in this way, it'll let you know if you have a piece of gear on that is missing an enchantment that could have an enchantment on it. So for example, if I had a cloak without homebound speed on it, then I could open Narcissus and my cloak would be highlighted in red and it would say no enchant, exclamation point. And then I would go buy homebound speed and I would enchant my cloak. So that's a really nice part of this add-on. But I mostly, again, just use it for the stream and as a be right back screen. The next one is going to be omniCD. OmniCD is an add-on that allows you to track your party members' cooldowns. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Here's what it looks like. And on my screen, let's make an LFG again. And on my screen, if I were to open omniCD, for some reason the test isn't working. But anyway, you can customize this add-on however you'd like. But what I do is I go to position, I select position more, anchor point right, attachment point top right. I set the Y offset to 37 or whatever it is, whatever you need. And I make the icons 76% size. And essentially this makes it perfect for my maxed out height of party frames, right? That's how much room we have in the height. It allows for the maximum display of party member cooldowns without blocking the BigDebuffs big debuff dispellable debuff that we've set up earlier, so that you can always see if your healer's in CC, but then also track your party members' cooldowns. And another setting that I use in here for omniCD is reverse swipe. I think it makes it a little bit easier to see because you want to know when your teammates use the ability right then, and then that puts it in your mind. You don't necessarily need to be able to see the ability before it's right about to come off cooldown. So I use reverse swipe, and it's in general probably, no. Oh, so by default, display inactive icons is checked. I uncheck display inactive icons so that I only see when my teammates have used the ability. I don't see my teammates' entire spellbook on the side of my screen and then watch certain abilities go out, right? I think that's incredibly distracting. So those are the settings that I use for omniCD. The next add-on we're going to look at is SUI. So this is what adds the black border to the entire UI. I use this because I love how it makes the minimap look and the player frames. When you install the add-on, it's actually going to appear right here at the top of your game menu. Super nice. It's got a ton of quality of life features. I highly recommend going through every single panel and mousing over all of these different settings and checking which ones work for you. The theme that I like is dark theme, but you can choose the default Blizzard theme, or you can set it to your class colors, which for mage is blue. Or you can set it to a custom color as well. And you can also change the font in your game if you want to change it to a font that's maybe more stylized. And let me see if there's anything in here really important. Not really. The main things for arenas is just arena nameplates, hide server name, and totem icons. These settings make arena frames look a lot better. Class color, player names, sure. I don't think this is working. So when you have lots of add-ons that are overlapping, certain settings just won't display properly. So you have to check and uncheck them in different layers and try to get them to work as their own add-on before you add in other add-ons, or before you allow other add-ons to have control over that same part of your game. For example, we already have add-ons that are controlling the nameplates, so this setting for health text just isn't working. That's just something to know about using add-ons. True stat values, this is a new add-on that I got, and I don't think that it's working properly, and it is. Cool. So true stat values allows you to see what your true rating of your stats. It allows you to see the true rating of your stats on your character. So if we look at my haste right here, I have so much haste in my current build that I have, even though it says that my haste is 5,675, I'm actually losing 10% from a penalty from going too high. So I've actually lost 57.52 haste from the penalty, resulting in a true rating of 5,617.48. So this isn't something that's shown in the default tooltip, and it's really infuriating that it's not, and that you have to use an add-on. But I highly recommend using it so that you can make sure that you're balancing your stats correctly. Personally, I don't mind that I'm getting stat penalties, because even though you're receiving a penalty from climbing too high, currently my haste is 5,675 and my true rating is 5,617. But let's say I equip an item with even more haste and my haste would jump up to 5,806. The penalty increases a little bit to 70, but my true rating has still gone up to 5,735. So even though there is a penalty, equipping more of the stat still adds more of that stat to your character, and it's a very small penalty, but it is just something to be aware of for your stats for your character. So the next one is WeakAuras. So WeakAuras is an add-on that a lot of people use for different things, and it's a very versatile add-on. So it can do pretty much anything. So WeakAuras is something that doesn't display in the add-on or interface menu. You have to use the /command WeakAuras, and then it'll bring up this menu. The only WeakAura that I use currently is this Healer CC WeakAura. So this displays under my party frames, and it's just a larger debuff of whatever CC my healer is in, and then it also comes with a sound. So I've chosen the robot blip right here. Oh wait, right here. So you can hear when your healer is put into CC, but it's not too obtrusive, right? There's tons of different sounds that you can pick. Some of them are very annoying. I find robot blip to be the easiest to notice without stressing me out, of course. But then it also has this text, healer CC, and then it shows a timer for how long your healer is going to be in that CC. You can click and drag and make this as big and small as you want. You can display, add things. Oh, I'm forgetting the first step. So if you want this healer CC WeakAura, you would need to add the WeakAura to your list. So what you're going to do is click this import button. And WeakAuras are extremely popular. So all you have to do is go to Google and just type in healer CC WeakAura. And you click this link onto Wago.io. And a user has kindly made an import string for their WeakAura. And you can use WeakAuras to show cooldowns. You can use WeakAuras to show line of sight. WeakAuras can be very, very obtrusive, but I don't like when someone uses a lot of WeakAuras because it just feels like it's playing the game for them or shoving a bunch of pictures in our face that don't really mean anything that are already on the screen in the top right anyways. And it's just a sign that like that player doesn't have a whole lot of awareness if they're using tons of WeakAuras. So WeakAuras is something that you want to use, but then slowly take off, obviously. Like this healer CC WeakAura is sort of a crutch and something that I would look to delete, hopefully, in the future. But it is something that I'm using currently, and if it's part of the UI that you were looking to get as well, this is how you would get the healer CC WeakAura. So you would just copy this import string up here. It'll say that it's copied to your clipboard. And then we go back over here to the WeakAuras import button, and we just paste that in here. I'm not going to do that because then it will literally automatically add it to my list, and I already have it. I don't want it to duplicate and fuck it up. And yeah, that covers every bit of the UI that you can see. So next we're going to talk about the other add-ons that I use that make pushing buttons a lot easier and more user-friendly. And the first one is going to be, I believe, let's go to our list here. Auctionator. So Auctionator is a really cool add-on that allows you to post auctions using your spacebar. So it has a lot of different functionalities, including showing the current auction price of an item in its tooltip. So for example, if I mouse over these battleground potions, it'll show me the vendor price, and it also shows me the current auction price from the last time that this add-on was able to scan my realm's auction house. So if we go to the auction house, you can see this add-on in action. So as soon as you have the add-on installed, you're going to open the auction pane, and you're going to notice that there's all these tabs, these extra tabs at the bottom. Shopping, it's going to keep your history. So whenever you're typing something like quick Yezemerald, it auto-fills what you typed in last time and makes searching for items that you buy all the time incredibly easy. This is really good for Dragonflight because we're constantly having to buy gems and enchants over and over for every season. So I really like this add-on for that. And I also mainly use it for auctioning things really fast because I think that just selling everything to a vendor is selling yourself short, and you could be making a lot more gold by just using the auction house as a sort of vendor. And we don't do it because it's extra buttons, but this add-on basically makes it even faster to post things at the auction house than it does to sell to a vendor. So if I take these items here, these third wind potions, and I click them, it's going to scan for the current price. So before we saw it was about 13 gold, and we can see that that price has dropped to 12 gold, but that's still a lot higher than the vendor price of 62 copper. So obviously we're going to post that. And I always do 24-hour duration because some of these items are just not that useful. People don't buy them all the time. And every now and then they come back in the mail and I just repost them. And you do have to keep an eye on your deposit price. So you are depositing 1 silver per item. But we have a potential net or potential gross of 48 gold, netting 47 gold, 95 silver or whatever it is. So yeah, then once you click the item, you just press the space bar and it instantly posts all of the items that we had in our bags. Makes auctioning super simple. I'm just going to click this next one. Again, vendor 62, but auction 31 silver. It's just 31 silver, but you're throwing money away by just throwing this at the vendor. And players that spam quick match BGs all the time actually do want these BG mats that we're getting for free in these arena boxes, right? You win an arena and you get a bunch of free stuff. We just got some more potions of defiance before I even post the item. So yeah, we're gonna post these as well. And sometimes you get this message that says the price looks a bit low. Are you sure you want to post it at this price? That just means that recently this item has been a lot higher in value and now it's dipped a lot lower. And if you would like to wait until that item's stock goes back up, if you will, you could do that. But I don't really care, right? 62 copper to 31 silver is still a huge jump. I'm just going to post for 31 silver. And next would be this potion Height of Senses, 62 copper to 7 silver. Pretty nice. And the other thing is, as an arena player, you're constantly getting these rousing ires, which at 10 stacks translate into these awakened ires, which sell for a lot of gold. And people vendor these mistakenly because they vendor for 25 silver, but they actually auction for up to 180 gold per ire. So it's a really good source of side money for arena players and PvPers. So I'm going to post these, but I'm going to keep my rousing ires and allow these to stack up in my bags and turn into more awakened ires at 10 stacks. Because the awakened ires sell for more than 10 rousing ires. Just a little bit of math for you. But you might want to check those statistics on your server in case someone's fucking with those numbers because they are unique to your server. So the next add-on we're going to check out is Leatrix Plus. So Leatrix Plus is an add-on that primarily I use to... I primarily use it for this setting right here. Faster auto loot. I'm not entirely sure how this add-on is able to accomplish this, but it makes auto looting 10 times faster than normal. So I highly recommend for questing, for anything, use this add-on. Make sure that faster auto loot is checked. There's also a ton of other settings in here that are really nice, like faster movie skip. It allows you to just press escape and it skips the movie instead of having to check the confirmation box. Same thing with loot. If you have lots of loot warnings and you don't really care, or if you're experienced with the game and those are just kind of annoying, you can just check this box and then it confirms the loot warning for you. Same thing with easy item destroy. You can also mute sounds in the game, so if there's just certain sounds in the game that really bug you, like for example, I don't know, the sunflower pet. If you didn't ever want to hear the sunflower pet again, you could do that. And it also allows me to manage my control frame. So my control frame, whenever someone CCs me, it's going to throw that CC up on the screen, and it's going to be right here. Is this centered? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's not. Now it is. That's embarrassing. All right. So yeah, the control frame is going to show when you're in CC. and you can scale it up or down and move it anywhere on the screen. By default, it's directly in the center over your character, and I just hate that because I think that it makes the game harder to see and harder to have game sense, and I prefer to have it down near my abilities so that if I'm locked out of a certain school of magic, or if I can't move my character for whatever reason, that I notice that as I'm looking towards my mobility cooldowns or my defensives, right? Because it's at the bottom of my screen. And another, let's see. Another cool thing it has is a ready timer. You can hide error messages, portrait numbers. So whenever you're taking damage or getting healed, those numbers don't appear over your character's face. Just makes it look a little bit cleaner and less distracting. Hide zone text. So once you enter a new zone, there's no big green letters in front of your face. Hide keybind text so that my abilities don't show the keybinds. Same thing with macro text, but if I were to uncheck these, then they would show, which you can see here. Very disgusting. And yeah, if it is something that you want to, showing your keybinds isn't terrible. It's not going to make you worse at the game or anything. And especially if you're learning a new class or just still getting used to the game, you're definitely going to want to show your keybinds and your macros. But if you're a pro at the game and you've been playing for years, then hiding your keybind and macro text is something that makes the UI look a lot cleaner. If you know your keybinds by heart, basically. Like I could play this game with my eyes closed if I had a keyboard in front of me, like I could turn it off and I could pretend to play Arena with my hands because I know what all my buttons mean. And I don't necessarily need to remember how to control my character, so I turn the keybinds off, show keybinds off. Let's see what else LTP does. You can hide the combat log, restore chat messages after reloading your UI. This is also super awesome, so you don't reload your UI and miss what people said. Universal group color, so that it's always blue whether you're in a raid or a party. Just looks nicer. It's easier on my eyes. Hide the social button. Queue from friends. This is how I'm able to automatically accept the queue whenever my friend is queuing with me and they do a ready check for Arena, and I automatically ready up. That's from this add-on, Leatrix Plus, and this setting, queue from friends. And it also allows you to automate quests, so you can change the keybind for the override and whatnot and change the settings here, but this makes grabbing weekly quests and other quests in the world a lot easier, so that you just automatically accept them and automatically turn them in. And automate gossip essentially automatically selects the dialogue option whenever there's only one dialogue option. And it makes talking to NPCs super fast and skipping through lore super fast. Release in PvP. This makes you automatically release whenever you're in a battleground or an arena, but you can change and make exceptions to that. Sell junk automatically, repair automatically. Plenty of add-ons do this. So you can also disable screen glow and disable screen effects. This is what makes it so that when I go invisible, the rest of my screen doesn't get tampered with this crazy screen effect that makes it hard to see the game. But you can still see that my character is invisible, right? So sometimes it makes it hard to know if you're actually in stealth. So, be careful with the setting, but I really like it because it just makes it less jarring whenever I'm starting every single 2v2 arena in stealth or something. Or whenever you G-invis and you don't want your whole screen to flash just because you're using a wall for 1 second. Max camera zoom is also a really nice setting, so this allows you to zoom out even farther than normal. But again, plenty of other add-ons do this. And you can show it a mini-map button if you want, or you can just type \LTP. So that's what I prefer to do so that I have less add-ons in this little menu here. Oh, another add-on that I just realized I have that I'm not remembering because it's not in CurseForge. There are add-ons that are not available on CurseForge, and you are going to have to manually install them. And one of those is this add-on Reflex. So Reflex is a win-loss counter, essentially, but it doesn't count arenas or games that you AFK from. So if you AFK, it won't count as a loss in the counter, but of course you did lose points in the game, right? But this add-on is actually not available on CurseForge, and to install it, you're just going to have to open your web browser, type in Reflex add-on WoW, and it's a WAG.io link once again. We're just going to go here. You would download. Where's the download? Go to releases. And then you can download the latest release here, or you can download with the WAG.io app. Once you have the file that you've downloaded, what you're going to do is you're going to open your game menu, your game folder. And your game folder looks, it's going to be in different places on your computer. Mine's in Program Files 86. Go into World of Warcraft. You can see Classic and Retail here, where we want Retail. You're going to see your interface folder here. Go into your interface folder, and then you'll see an add-ons folder. And you're going to take your Reflex add-on that you've downloaded from WAG.io and drag and drop it into your add-ons folder. And then you're going to reload your UI. And once you do that, you'll have Reflex installed. And that is also a tutorial on how to manually install add-ons. So if you find an add-on that isn't available on CurseForge, that is how you would manually install that add-on if you're able to download the file. And let me see if there's anything else I want to go over. So one of the add-ons that overlaps heavily with Leatrix Plus is SUI. SUI also offers a lot of quality of life stuff, but it doesn't offer faster auto loot, unfortunately, which is the main one that I love. But it also sells and repairs automatically. It deletes things, and confirms the dialog box. You can release automatically. You can hide and show talking head. You can hide and show your FPS and MS. This is pretty nice. So you can see I have 60 FPS. And then I'm not sure where my MS is. It's probably under something. But those are pretty cool. Oh, hide tooltips in combat. This is a really important setting for making everything minimalistic and easier to see as well. You can also change buffs and debuff size. I have mine set to 20. You can announce interrupts. And you can also, this add-on also has a surrender add-on built into it. So this is also how I can AFK so fast without actually AFKing and just surrendering, so that it counts in my win-loss counter add-on, and it also gives me honor for the match. So you can do it by typing /GG or /SR for surrender, and both of those commands will forfeit the match instead of you having to right-click your LFGI and click surrender, right? When you click save, it'll automatically reload your UI. Add-ons can be kind of egregious because every single year, every single patch, every expansion that they change the game, it breaks every add-on you have, or at least most of them, with a rusty spoon, and you have to wait for the add-on publishers to release a patch compatible with the latest version of the game in order for your add-on to work. So it really sucks whenever that happens, but in my experience, those people, do it for the love of the game, and they repost their add-on, within days of the patch. So I prefer to play with add-ons, but I don't like playing with so many add-ons that it plays the game for me, or covers my screen with a bunch of bullshit so I can't see. Although I have gone through phases where I did have UIs like those. Except, you know, back then I didn't know about add-ons like WeakAuras or how to use them, and like the fact that they could show your LOS or some shit. Like, I'm just talking about like having player frames in bad spots, trying different arena frames, trying different action bar setups, and a lot of pros use as few add-ons as possible. Venruki is a great example. Peekaboo is an even better one. And the reason for that is because of LUA errors. So LUA errors come from add-ons. And luckily, we have this add-on that we started with, Advanced Interface Options, that allows us to... So by default, display LUA errors, I believe, is unchecked. And what this does is that it's going to manage and hide all of the LUA errors that you get from your add-ons. But every now and then, the game will become overwhelmed with how many LUA errors you're receiving. Sometimes because your game is out of date. Sometimes because the add-on's out of date or whatever. Sorry, the add-on, not the game. And when that happens, you'll get a message that'll say, a feature of the Blizzard UI has been blocked by X add-on, and you need to reload your UI in order to regain that function. And sometimes that function is literally pressing your damage buttons. So pros have been playing the game for years, have gone through phases where they're using tons of add-ons, and it's losing them rating because they're experienced enough to have the awareness that the add-on gives them, but now the add-on is giving them LUA errors that are making their game literally break while they're playing it. That's just something to keep in mind. In my experience, it's okay to have a balance. You know, use some add-ons, don't use too many. Again, I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... Maybe like 11, 12 to 15 add-ons, I bet. I don't know. I could count them, but I won't. And so stick to that ballpark. I would say don't go over 20 add-ons, 15 add-ons. You might start getting too many LUA errors. Let's say you completely break your game with add-ons, and now the game isn't functioning properly at all every time, no matter how many times you restart, how many times you reload. Certain element, this one element of the UI just isn't functioning properly. Sometimes the ultimatum is just to fully reset the UI. So let's say that you try to install these add-ons here and it doesn't go according to plan and you would like to restart from 0. Don't worry, it's not that hard. All you have to do is go to your game menu once again, open the retail file, and you're going to rename your cache file to cache old, your interface file to interface old, and your what the fuck file to what the fuck old. Don't create the new file because the game will create the new file on its own when you relaunch the game. So once you've renamed all your files to old, close that, relaunch WoW, and it'll play the game trailer. You skip past it, log in, open the game, and your UI should be reset to 0 with no add-ons folder at all. And then you would, reopen CurseForge and then reinstall all of the add-ons in your add-on manager, and they would go directly into your add-ons folder, come back to the game /reload, you're good. I guess the last thing we could talk about is this ugly-ass pane I have over here. So I stack every ability here that I don't need to see the cooldown of, Ring of Fire here. Some of these are just left up here on accident. But the majority of them, so we have my arena 1, 2, 3 macros. Here, let me show the macro text here as well. So you can see my fireball is actually hidden. So how you do that is you go to your action bars in your normal settings, and you can check all of these action bars, and then in the edit mode, you can select these action bars, and you can select whether the bar is visible or not, or whether it's hidden. So all 3 of these are hidden. And the spells that I have over here are mostly macros, target macros, focus macros, but also spells like Fireball or Frostbolt, where I don't need to see the cooldown. So I know that my fireball is 1, so I don't need to see the cooldown of fireball because it's always available to press. You might argue that mirror images is a 2-minute cooldown. Why would you hide this cooldown? Fair enough. Maybe I should show it, but in my experience, a 20% wall isn't needed more than once every 2 minutes. You know, your big wall is going to be your greater invis. And obviously, if you wanted to min-max skill, maybe you want to show mirror images, so you're pressing it on cooldown, but the likelihood of all things is that you're going to be in the game, and that global that you would press on mirror images would actually be better spent pressing another CC or doing more damage. So, yeah. That's also sort of the same logic I have behind Ring of Fire and Greater Pyroblast. So I also bar switch on my main bar here. And on my second bar, I've got my food, I've got a toy, some items that I like to press because I don't want to click them, heroism, you know, my Netomatic, health stones, teleport, Q macro, turnip punching bag, bullshit. It's like my quick bar, my quick bag bar. But the main keybind is Shift R. This is where I put Greater Pyroblast for 2s, and for 3s, this is going to be my Ring of Fire. And the reason that I have these abilities on the second bar, where you would normally not see them, is because their cooldown is fairly low. So you have a 30-second cooldown on Ring of Fire, and you have a 25-second cooldown on Greater Pyroblast. A 15-second cooldown. So again, it's so low that the cooldown is lower than it is, or the cooldown is up more often than I actually need it. So I'm not actually pressing Greater Pyroblast on cooldown or Ring of Fire on cooldown because I'm casting other spells. And about every 30 seconds, I'm casting a Ring of Fire, or about every 15 seconds, I'm casting a Greater Pyroblast. I don't necessarily feel like I need to show that cooldown at all times, so that's why I have it in my second bar. Control 1, 2, 3 macros, mouse over decurse. This is also an 8-second cooldown that you just, it's 8 seconds. Use it wisely. You know that it only has one charge every 8 seconds, and you're pretty much good to go. You can count to 8 in your head. But again, maybe you want to show this on your bars. There is space. Focus poly. My focus macro. This allows me to press a button on my mouse and set a target to my focus. It looks like this. /focus at mouse over into brackets. And yeah, you can, if you mouse over it and press the button, it sets the target, it sets that thing as your mouse over. And then if you mouse over the ground and press the button, it'll just clear your focus frame. But in Arena, I have keybinds for target 1, 2, 3 and focus 1, 2, 3. But I mainly use this for World PvP and Battlegrounds. So yeah. The other thing I do is I make my debuff frame 160%. My abilities are 100%. My player frame is 110%. And my my target frame is also 110. And then my game menu settings, my graphic settings, my UI scale is set to 89%.